How's it going, everybody? Doing a gum chewing game review here today of the Dead Space remake. I played the PS5 version, obviously. I'm filming this Saturday night, same day I filmed the roleplay earlier. I beat it early. I was up early this morning, and I beat it this morning. Put 12 and a half hours into it, I believe. If anyone saw my Instagram story the other day, you might see how I feel about this game a little bit. I did not hate it by any means. It is a good game, but there are problems with it. Not problems. I don't necessarily call them problems. It's not like technically, there's not technical like problems with this game. And I love the original. Like when I first played that, I literally got it maybe like a week after it came out. I think it was 08, like fall of 08 is when I got it. I'm pretty sure that's when it came out. I loved it. I loved the first one and the second one. And the third one's cool too. It's just not as good as the other two, but it did some cool things. This is, graphically, it looks amazing, this game. Now, I don't know if this game didn't have the impact that one did. Like, I guess, and maybe I'm noticing the things that annoy me in this one were probably there in that, and they definitely were there in that one, but it was just a fresh, different kind of game. And maybe now I'm just like, no, it's annoying. But if you played it, the one that in 2008 or this one, you're Isaac Clarke, you're an engineer, and you're with your group. It's Daniels, Johnston, Chen, and Hammond. I don't know their first names. I Kendra Daniels. I can't remember the other people's first names. But you're going to the Ishimura. It's a mining ship or whatever, the planet cracker they call it. You're going for repairs, and Isaac's. I don't know if she's his wife. I think he's just his girlfriend. Nicole Brennan is on the ship. She's a doctor there or whatever, and they've been away from each other for like 6 months. And then they get close, and all of a sudden, they try to get in, and there's something wrong with like the gravity tethers or whatever. And they crash in there, and all of a sudden, shit's gone down. The necromorphs are the things in this game. So there's a thing called the marker that unitologists wanted. But they unearthed it on this planet that they're, mining on. And everybody's gone nuts. People are turning into shit. They turn into the creatures. If you play this game, you know what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure this is not Motive. They did the remake. I'm pretty sure Visceral did the original 3, right? And they were the ones I'm pretty sure made Dante's Inferno, which was kind of cool, but man, it was annoying as shit. But they have a way with like mutilating bodies and stuff for enemies. But they start freaking out. Chen gets killed early. And then, there's spoilers here, obviously. Then Johnston does. And it's mainly you, Daniels, and Hammond throughout most of it. You're talking to them. They're doing things. They're ahead of you. You communicate. In this game, even back then, it was awesome. Like, the HUD was so cool in this game. Like, it's in front of you. Like, you have this mining or engineering suit, so your health is on your back, and your stasis, gauge is on the back as well. And everything comes in front of you. You call it up. If you switch weapons and stuff, you call it up. You call up the HUD. Everything's in front of you, even when people pop up on screen. It's really cool. But shit goes down. You get separated. You spend the game trying to figure out what the hell's going on, because you don't know what the marker is immediately, and all this other stuff. There's twists in there as well. I'm pretty sure your character did not talk in the original game. I'm pretty sure you barely even saw his face until the end. And this one, he pops his helmet off a few times and he talks, which is fine, whatever. All the voice acting's fine. I want to say they added stuff in this. There are side quests in this, and I'm pretty sure that wasn't in the first one. They're not needed. I'm on a second playthrough now. I'll get into that stuff more. But you do some side quests. You're trying to like something, figure out some of Nicole stuff. And this guy Mercer, who's a unitologist on the thing ship, he's still alive for a bit. There's a guy Kine who's still alive. Nicole Cross is another one. There's people that are alive on the ships. I didn't remember that many people being alive on the ship. Like I said, but it's been so long since I played the original. But the first thing you get is a plasma cutter. You got to cut off the limbs of the enemies. That's how you kill them. There's about 8 weapons in this game. The plasma cutter is the first one you get. And in my opinion, when you upgrade the plasma cutter just gets better. It's the one you want to use the most. My go-to weapons were the plasma rifle, I think it's called. Pulse rifle or whatever the hell it is. The plasma cutter, the flamethrower I used a ton, and I was switching between the contact beam and the, it's like I forget what it's called, like a force gun. And this thing's vicious to enemies. I played it on medium, first playthrough, medium difficulty. The force gun like hits them twice, like knocks their skin off and then obliterates them in the second shot. Some enemies, some are harder, obviously, but those ones I used as a Ripper as well, and the line gun, which I was using, but then I eventually put them in storage, because you only have like each suit you have. You can upgrade your suits at the stores you find throughout the game, little things. You can, because you have a certain amount of inventory slots, and then you get better suits, and you get more inventory slots, and sometimes you can move stuff at the store. You can move stuff to the storage and stuff like that. All the weapons can be upgraded. You get nodes throughout the game. You can upgrade your weapons, your suits. I'm pretty sure your stasis. Your stasis, I think, is part of your suit. And your kinesis. Stasis slows stuff down. Kinesis, you can throw stuff, projectiles, pull stuff towards you, all that shit. And they're used in combat and in doing stuff in the game itself. Such as some doors are like going nuts, or there's spinning fans. You slow them down with stasis to get through, just to use them on enemies when you're in trouble. Boom, kinesis, you can pull things in the environment, throw it at enemies, impale them. You can take body parts off the enemies. And you use that to pull certain things down and move stuff out of the way and shit like that. The combat's good in this game. Like, there's nothing wrong with the combat in this game. It all works. It looks nice. All the enemies look nice. There's different kinds of enemies. There's like a bunch of babies on this ship. I forget, this must tell you. You find text logs and audio logs that help fill in gaps in the story of what's going on this ship. And you'll get playback things of like little holograms that will also tell you stuff. But eventually the unitologists, they got the marker and people start going nuts, and the unitologists, they're like a cult type thing. They start doing things. People are killing each other on the ship and all this other shit. I'm not going to get too in-depth in the story, but the one guy, Mercer, wants to like bring the marker to Earth and have everybody be whole, and that's a thing throughout the series. But I'm not going to tell twists about what the marker is and where it came from and stuff like that, but there are twists in there involving the people that were in your crew, one of them specifically, but there's the big brute enemy as well. You got to kind of stasis him, get behind him, and bust up his weak spots. There's a couple boss fights. The big boss fight at the end, you fight the Leviathan twice. The second time, I'll get into the annoying parts in this game now. This is a horror game, right? Sci-fi horror game. My main problem, and I could almost, for me personally, this review could literally just be, it's an action game first and a horror game second. And for me, if I'm playing a horror game, I want the horror front. And I'm not talking the horrors of in this game, the enemies look gross, stuff's nasty, it's gory as hell, right? There's no dread in this game at all, because almost every few minutes an enemy's coming at it. They come at, they crawl into the little, vents and stuff, and they bust out. Every time, it's one of those games, and this is a lot of games, obviously, it's not just this. Something happens, or you complete an objective. Here comes a little wave of enemies. Complete an objective, wave of enemies. oh look, someone's behind me. I just walked out of the door. Someone's behind me. And there's a lot of backtracking in this game, a lot, because the ship's not massive. It's big, but it's different areas, and you go from trams. But you set up the trams, and you go from area to area, and you're going back and forth from each one. You get more higher clearance throughout the game, and then you could access different doors. But they want you to backtrack and go to doors you haven't been apart in like 2 hours. I can't even remember where these doors are. I'm not going to bother going back to a level 3 door I haven't in an area I haven't been to in 2 hours. Usually there's just stuff in there, semiconductors that you can sell, and ammo and nodes and stuff like that you're going to find. But like I said, for me, like a Silent Hill series or Fatal Frame, plenty of them, the Slender games, a lot of games, okay, not just, a lot of horror games are doing it now, especially a lot of the indie ones. But Silent Hill was doing it back in the day. I never thought Resident Evil didn't throw enemies at you like this, but I was never creeped out by the original Resident Evils up until 7. But Fatal Frames as well. You could spend 10, 15 minutes just walking around, thinking something's going to get you, being creeped out because you're hearing weird shit, but nothing comes. In this game, something is coming almost every 3 minutes. Like, it's crazy. Like, you can't take in, because the atmosphere is great. Admittedly, it gets very repetitive. You're seeing the same, like, it looks great. You got the lighting and stuff, blood on the walls, ripped up metal and shit. Sometimes you go out into zero gravity, so you're floating around. You have little boosters and stuff. You gotta get oxygen in some points when you go out into the vacuum or whatever. But it never gives you a chance to like be like, oh my god, because something's always coming at you, and you just start getting annoyed. And to me, that's just, it's gotta be a staple of a good horror game, like a great horror game is. You want to be walking. Like I would love to just walk for 10 minutes in this game, just grabbing stuff and hearing things and being bugged out without being attacked. There's a ton of enemies in this game. You would think there was like 10 million people on this ship. There are the baby enemies that turn into the things, or the things they're crawling around. The other little things come out. I don't know why there's so many babies on the ship. It might be explained in one of the text logs. There's brutes. There's there's the ones that pull up the human bodies, and turn them into the things, necromorphs. Like I said, there's the big boss fights, and there's this arm that grabs you periodically. You got to shoot it before it sucks you into the thing. But the environment it's very repetitive. It's just the same kind of scenery in almost everything. Like when you get into the atrium, the big atrium area, that looks really nice. But it's not like a colorful game. It's very kind of just, it's dreary. The atmosphere is good, but they don't give you the dread on top of it. It's just attack it. That's where it's just more action. It's not more horror in terms of, oh shit, what's happening? Oh god, is something behind me? No, what's that noise? And it's not like that. It's just, oh, there is something behind you when you hear a noise. It's not just going to be you, And there's too many jump scares in this game, and that was like that in the original as well. Just jump scare after, like, it gets to the point where you're just walking, things are jumping out, you're not even paying attention, you're just like, oh, I got hit, and you turn around, A few are decent, but it's just like, okay, I know it's gonna come now, because they love throwing enemies coming out of the vent or whatever. That just, I don't know. I probably had that problem with the original, but it was just, at the time, it was, I don't say groundbreaking, but it was a fresh, different kind of game, so I wasn't going to critique as much. When you get the remake, which is essentially the same game, looks better, and I think it added some new stuff for sure. Like I said, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure there's not side quests in the original, but I could be completely wrong. And that's why it's just so, that just frustrated me, because there was parts where I was like, this is getting annoying. It's like, here come the six enemies after I do something, Now, they're pretty good with hooking you up with health packs and stuff, and you can buy them, obviously, at the shops. There's places to save all over the place, and there are checkpoints. Here's the thing. I'm first doing this, you had to sometimes you get these electrical things that you use, kinesis, and you put them in things to unlock doors or whatever. And there's like a little basketball game. I forget what they call it. And I'm like, I forgot about it. I was like, when is that part coming up? And it comes up real late in the game. I thought it was earlier. There's 12 chapters. I think it came up in like chapter 10. I'm shooting baskets. And of course I get annoyed. Enemies have to bother me while I'm trying to do this mini game. So I kill them, do the mini game, and you get little prizes for each one. I got through level 5. There's 6 levels. I was like, really? I can't just play the game without being harassed? You're getting harassed by enemies constantly. And you can't, like I said, you can't experience the horror because you're too, like, oh, here we go, another boss fight. It can't make me feel the dread that a Silent Hill game makes, or a Fatal Frame, or whatever it may be. Now, admittedly, those games are horror games first and not action. This game is action first and horror second, in my opinion. And they should have made it more horror. Like, less enemies, more creepiness. But I still did like the game. I'm not going to sit here and say I liked it. These are just... And there was parts that were frustrating, especially the second part of the Leviathan battle. You're in zero gravity, so you're moving around, you keep getting, and then it throws extra things at you. You got to keep moving. It's just, I thought it was clunky. Some of it was clunky. He doesn't move that fast, Isaac, even when he runs. And there's a hunter that follows you occasionally. You eventually burn him, but he regenerates. There's a decent variety of enemies, though, in the game. Like I said, graphically, it still looks great. Like I said, everything looks nice. The problem is sometimes it's a little too dark, and I moved it up. In the beginning of games, I always move the brightness up when it tells you, oh, because I'm like, you know what, some parts going to be annoying and not be able to see. This one's pretty bad. Sometimes the lights go out, but you have a light on when you have a weapon. But, I don't know, like I said, it's kind of the perfect amount of time, even though I admittedly thought it dragged a little bit, but this game would not be able to be 20 hours because the backtracking almost gets ridiculous. It's like, oh, here we go again. I got to go through this hallway again for the third time. But like I said, in some instances, you don't go back to some places. But it's like, where was that level 3 door? You have a map that I would assume they're on, but I was just like, it got to a point where I was like, whatever. One thing I do like, and this was the original as well, is the New Game Plus. They give you like 50,000 credits, nodes, and you keep all your shit. Once you get to the first store, you can grab all your weapons out of storage that you got, which is nice. And the second time, I'm already on chapter 7 of a second playthrough because I wanted to do some of the side stuff because I wasn't doing it. I did some of it, and then I was just like, okay, whatever. And I just threw it on easy difficulty. I'm like, whatever, I'm going to throw it on easy. I'm just going to start plowing through enemies and whatever, and I'm breezing through the game. But I also wanted to get some more trophies as well. But for now, I already took it out, and now I'm going to go into Assassin's Creed Mirage again. I mean, the story's decent. It's a good sci-fi story, But yeah, just my biggest gripes with it are I hate to say the environments are bland because they're not, because it looks like good spaceship type stuff. It looks nice. But it's just you don't get a variety of scenery, and there's some parts where there's plants growing and stuff like that, but you don't get a lot of cool stuff. There's a couple cool parts actually where you go out in zero gravity. You got to realign the cannons to shoot these meteors, and you're out there, and that looks nice. You look up and you kind of get an idea of almost how big the ship is, which is kind of cool. But that's why I like 3 when they did the little side stuff. Like 3 was a little more open and stuff, and you were bouncing back. This was just but 2 improved upon it. But you're getting a remake, and you're almost thinking, oh, they're really gonna like do things up like a Resident Evil 2 or 3, but which whatever, it was still good. But it didn't have the impact on me that the original one did, which, I mean, I probably wouldn't expect it to. But the combat is fun, like using the plasma cutter, taking off limbs, or using kinesis to impale enemies. Using the force gun and stuff, and and they all have alt fires. I probably should say earlier, the weapons have like alt fires on them. Like the line gun has a trap alt fire. The plasma rifle, a pulse, or whatever it is, has a little kind of almost grenade launcher. Plasma cutter just changes its direction. I forget what some of the other ones are. Actually, the flamethrower might not actually have one. Maybe it does though. Like I said, you're upgrading all your stuff at the but you find workbenches and you do that there. I have the best suit now. I went through and you get paid money to get better suits. I thought I was going to get a trophy for it. I didn't. But, and obviously Isaac starts losing it a bit from the mark. Getting close to the mark, you start losing, hallucinating and stuff. But I'm going to give this game a 7.5. I was kind of like, I was starting to get annoyed again. I'm like, oh, I'm going to give it a 7. But I'm like, I can't really do that. It's a good game. A 7.5 is not a bad score, let's be honest. It's a good game. It's just, you know what? Part of me towards the end was almost like, okay, let's just finish it, you know? And then I do a new game plus because I need some trophies. But it's almost more fun sometimes than a new game plus to just throw it on a lower difficulty with all your stuff and steamroll and be like, yes. But, you know, like I said, for me as a fan, of someone who loves, you know, horror games, this, I don't know if this focus does not look good. Oh, wow. I apologize for that. I had this not in good focus. I kind of noticed it, but then I don't even know why I changed it at this point, but it's just you know, when I get a horror game, I want to feel the dread and everything, and this has the atmosphere of the ship. It's destroyed. There's not many people left. These enemies are around, but they don't. I feel like they don't, and they probably didn't back then. They didn't capitalize on that because you could have had them shuffling. And you do hear noises from time to time, but it wasn't immersive enough, like a Silent Hill and stuff. But this game does action, obviously, better than Silent Hill 2. But I still did like it. Nice. If I did the side quests, I probably would have added maybe another hour and a half. It's usually just you trying to find stuff, and you hit the one, you push the one. Is it push the thumbstick in, and it tells you where to go. It's a little whoosh, where your objective is and stuff. I said it looks nice. The combat is fun. There's a good variety of enemies, but it gets tedious. You know, that's what it kind of is. Especially the part where you have to. What did the person call them? You got to inject them with an enzyme because like they're producing toxic gas from the blood, and these people are like kind of they're always hunched over and like. And you got to inject them with this thing, and you got to do it like 8 times. There's like 8 of them you have to get, and it kind of like, oh, here we go, you know. There's also some enemies that have like little things next to them you can shoot, and they explode. If they get near you, it'll explode. And there's other ones that if you shoot them in the belly, the thing opens up, and these little things jump on. You got to hit X to get them off. But it is a good game. Like I would recommend it. Maybe not at like $70. If you're into action horror, though, yes, get it. If you're more into the horror where you want to be in there and be like bugging out, you're not going to like it as much. You're not going to hate it. And technically, it's fine, you know. Looks nice, plays well, voice acting's good. I don't know if I probably forgot some stuff, but I'm going to go 7.5 on it. And this will go into 4th place, right? Ghostwire Tokyo's in 1st for the games I've beaten on the PS5. Spider-Man 2, number 2, Jedi Survivor 3, and this 4. I have not beat any other games, right? I gotta go back and finish Mirage. I should Creed Mirage now. And part of me is like, I gotta play Mirage now because I'm even on the second playthrough. I'm like, because it's so almost like I just want to see the sky or something. It's just very like, you know. Everything's the same kind of color and shit like that. But yeah, 7.5 for me on the Dead Space remake. I mean, check it out if you're into sci-fi horror and you're into action horror. Check it out. If you're more into the slow burn dread type horror, you will enjoy this. But you're not. I'm just gonna let you know you'll get annoyed by the amount of enemies that keep coming at you, and it doesn't give you a chance to immerse yourself in the world and the ship, you know. It's just like, no, here comes another enemy. But yeah, 7.5 for Dead Space for the PlayStation 5. And I think I got it. I covered most things there, but I always forget stuff. But thanks for checking this out, and have a good day.